it should not matter what you look like, color, orientation. It should be about what you bring to the table, your skill set, your character, what you can do. So focus on your skill set, focus on perfecting your craft, and no matter what, always, in some way, shape, or form, be working towards perfecting your craft.
You are now listening to The Gradient Radio, an open space to converse about creativity with creatives. And I am your host, Antonio Knox. And today, we have a special guest. Today, our guest is a multimedia creative powerhouse who is also a EMMY Nominated Digital Producer. Today, our guest is Victoria.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm happy to be here. Honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
For sure. Thank you for taking the time out on this Friday evening. So for the people who may not know who Victoria is, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm a 29-year-old. Digital producer is my professional title, my day job. But I mainly do produce. But just like you said, I consider myself a multimedia creative powerhouse because I love to create. Ever since I was a child, I was either writing music, writing scripts, writing books, whatever I could write, recording music, film, video, like all of that. So I've touched a little bit of everything. I've done a little bit of everything. So, and the powerhouse part is just like, it's hard to shut me down. Like, once I get going, it's hard to stop me, you know. Yeah.
So how did you eventually get to the place that you're at now? What was your journey?
I mean, I went to Virginia State University, graduated in 2017. And I originally went to college with no idea. I always knew that I wanted to be in television, film, movies, and things like that. But when you go through school, you're kind of told you need to go to college and get a job that's going to make some money. So I was already like in high school thinking, okay, what do I need to major in that's going to make money? I wasn't thinking about how can I take my creative talents and go further. And there wasn't, I'm an only child, which I know you are as well. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of people around me to like push me or kind of direct me into which way to go. So I originally went to Virginia State as a business major, and I actually thought I was going to direct adult films. Like, that's what I originally, like, that's what I was saying as I was going into college. Like, I'm going to be a business entrepreneur, and then my business is going to be adult film. And first semester was like nothing but math classes, and I did not consider that. I suck at math. So I was like, I got to get out of here. And my second semester, I was like, all right, well, what else can I do that makes money? So I became an education major. I was like, I'll just teach. At least I know, like, my loans will be covered if I go down that route. And that first semester, they were like, we're going to be going into children's classrooms and, like, assisting. That was the first semester, you know? And I was shook. I was like, I cannot go around little kids, like, looking like this, like, covered in tattoos, looking like, you know, like, I knew there would be questions because I'm a masculine presented female, you know. And it was nerve-wracking at that time. It was, like, 2011, 2012, like, at this time. So I'm like, at that point, I was like, all right, you really need to sit down and think about, like, what it is that you want to do. You know that you love to create. You know you want to be in television and film. Why don't you just go do that? And I realized the only thing stopping me was the money and not knowing what to do once I get that degree. Like, there's no direction, you know. You can't go on necessarily, at that time, you couldn't go on Indeed.com and just find a job for producing or directing or anything like that. And
yeah.
In Richmond, it wasn't like that. You would have to be somewhere else, like New York or Atlanta, you know. So I was like, forget it, I'm going to just do it, you know. So I went to school for mass comm. At the time, when I sat down and, like, really decided which direction I wanted to go, at the time I was like working at Walmart, and I was having to pay. I was taking out loans and stuff like that. And it's just me and my mom at the time. My father passed away 1 week before I started high school. So that was just devastating. And we had to move and all this other stuff. So again, like, wasn't a lot of help or direction as to like what to do and how to figure it out. So once I finally figured it out on my own, at the same time, I had got a job at a bank. And they were telling me, right when I started Mass Comm, they were telling me it will be full-time, you're going to make this amount of money, you just got to do training for 5 weeks, and, you're good. And I still had 2 weeks left in the semester. So I went to my professors and I said, hey, I got this really good job opportunity, and I want to take it. Can you work with me for these last 2 weeks so I can finish, my semester? And one professor said yes, but the other professor, I had her for 3 courses. And she was like, if you don't come to any of these courses for the next 2 weeks, then I'm failing you. And I still tried. Like, I still tried to turn in my work. We had like a stand-up presentation, like a group presentation. I filmed my presentation at home and then sent it in with my group and was like, when it's our time, play this. And they called me afterwards. They was like, as soon as we put it on, she told us to cut it off and sit down, And she failed me. And I lost my financial aid, and I had to sit out from Virginia State for a whole year because you have to write a letter of appeal to get back in. You got to explain why you failed your courses and da-da-da-da-da. And I can't say it was the spiteful teacher. Whose fault is it? Who knows? But, at that time, whatever. So I took that year off, came back, had to take all the courses all over again with new teachers and go through my 4 years. Towards the end of my senior year, as I'm, getting ready to leave, I'm going, checking all my courses, making sure it's time for me to graduate. And some more stuff happened. Long story short, it took me like 7 years to get out of school. Long story short. And in the end, I was like paying out of pocket one class at a time, like one semester at a time, like just trying to get out of there. Finally get out there. Everybody that I went to school with is gone now. All the people that I went in with, they're gone now, So I fell into a huge depression when I graduated. I was like, what do all my biggest fears, what am I going to do now? I got this degree in Mass Comm. I don't know anybody. I didn't make any friends. I was so it was so hard just to work and go to school. Like, I wasn't able to participate in clubs and make those connections and things like that. So I had to utilize what I had, which was the traditional route of, I think my senior year, one of my professors was my old drama teacher. And I just, by way of the universe, I went up to him. I was like, hey, I remember you used to be my drama teacher in middle school. And he offered me a job on the spot. He talked to me a little bit. And he's like, okay, what do you want to do with your life? I was like, man, I really want to, get into film and television production. And he offered me a production job at his church. And it was just once a week, everything like that. But from there, I was able to put that on my resume and move forward. And then I don't know if you know Trayvon Facey. Mm-hmm. No? Okay. He went to Virginia State, and while he was there, he shot a video for Trey Songz. So I sent my resume to him. He had came to do a talk, sent my resume to him, and he introduced me to Tim Reed, producer and director, played Ray on Sister Sister, Tim Reed. He's here in Virginia, and I interned with him for a couple summers. And again, something to put on my resume. So it was a matter of just being in the right place at the right time, talking to the right people, and just taking the traditional route, just step by step. It took a while to get here. Yeah. And it was slow, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, episode last season, we talked about how some people go the traditional route and how some people go the non-traditional route.
Yeah.
But your journey is your journey. Yeah. It's not supposed to look like the other person's journey.
Yeah.
And obviously, along the way, things happen. Mm-hmm. Obstacles come in front of you, but you have to find a way to get around them. And most of the time, if you are persistent enough, you'll find your way around them.
Yes.
But also, there was some luck.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, divine intervention or some sort.
Exactly. That's a great journey, and I'm sure somebody will take something from that.
Maybe.
I think it's, you know, sometimes it's like when you are talking about your life,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
Like speaking about it, because like you have emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
And for me, like when I was, the reason healing exists was because like the passing of my aunt. And so like towards the end of that, I came to that conclusion of like why the film existed. So it was like my healing process. So that's why the film is called like Healing. And in the process of like creating that, I didn't like connect that, but like, you know, having those like Q&As really got me to that conclusion. And you know, constantly like speaking about it.
Yes. Consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Made me much more comfortable, but also I gained an awareness for that. And so like I know there will be like many people who will go through like many things in their lives, and you know, having the ability to speak it, because you know, it's different. Like I said, like it's different from like living it and then like actually speaking it. So yeah. Okay, so after going through the 7 years, graduating, getting your degree, how did you end up where you are today?
After I graduated, I fell into this depression. I was really upset, you know, just looking around at everybody having gone further and they're getting opportunities and what have you. And at the time, I was living with my girlfriend. I had just moved her here from Texas, and once I moved her here, she told me that she actually didn't have a college degree, didn't have a high school diploma, didn't even have a driver's license. And here I am, just finished college, thinking I'm like, we're about to have a future together, and I've moved her here, and I'm not making any money, no job. She's working as a waitress, making like, bringing home like thousands of dollars a week in tips, and it just plummeted me. And I just kept applying to jobs regardless. Like, eventually I got a call back from a local station. It was like 6 months after graduation. I got a call from a local news station, and I went in for the interview. And honestly, they asked me like 2 questions. Like, do you really live 15 minutes away from here? I was like, yeah. And did you really intern with Tim Reed? I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, job's yours. And the job was master control operator, which I just basically, during the live news broadcast, I would work the soundboard and control the mics while they're doing the broadcast. I was in charge of mics and loading commercials and doing commercial breaks for the channel. And it was 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. and it was $9 an hour. And literally, if I didn't come to work, then that channel would not go on air. Like, my job was very important, but it just didn't pay anything. And I was like, all right. But the guy told me, he was like, this is just a foot in the door. Like,
for sure.
You know, and again, just divine, like, timing. And like, I felt like because I always knew what I wanted to do, and I just always, like, once I made that decision, okay, mass comm. And from there, I was like, okay, like, I just got to make sure everything I'm doing, I'm focusing on that goal. And I felt like the universe brought these people into, you know, I didn't know my professor was going to be my old drama teacher, you know, and all these things. Like, when I ran into Trayvon, he was also getting his hair cut at my barbershop, you know, like, these things are happening for me. And so I got the job, and I did that for a year. And then at the job I'm at now as a digital producer, I first applied to be an intern. Crazy story with that. I used to play women's professional football for 3 years. It's real football. It's not the lingerie league. We put on pads and helmets. We're out there breaking bones, and some people leave in an ambulance. You know, like, it's real deal. And I was out there playing, and a reporter came to do a story on us. Another like young woman, black woman. And she's sitting down talking to us. And I'm like, where do you work? You know, who are you reporting for? She tells me where she's working. And I was like, well, I work over at this local station. And, you know, I'm really interested in that, you know. And she's like, well, you should apply to the internship. So I sent my resume in, and the HR called me. And they're like, all right, the job was, they had a job opening for a master control operator. So I was like, that's already what I'm doing. So I was like, I'll just go do it over here now. So I sent my resume in. They call. I go in. We talk, whatever. after we talked, she called me. She's like, after talking to you, I understand you did MCO over there, but it seems like you want to do more. You want to create, you want to produce, you want to do more. And I was like, I do. She's like, well, let's get you over into our digital department and see if you could be a digital producer instead of you continuing to do the MCO thing. I was like, for sure. Like, it was just an internship, but it was a paid internship nonetheless. And I was continuing to work at the local station as well. So while I did the internship. So I did the internship for about 3 months as a digital producer. They would just have me like take old videos and cut them up to make them look good for Instagram, or old TV shows that they had. This station had been on air since like the 70s. So they had really old TV shows. So, did that. And I just continued to show them, like, while I was there, I knew it was an internship. I knew I wanted to be full-time. I knew I wanted to be a producer. So no matter what they asked me to do, I was a yes man. I was like, I didn't care. Like, I was like, yeah, you want me to do that? Even if it was impossible, I would figure it out. I had to learn things like how to live stream through, an encoder and a tear deck and all these things I didn't know, like I had to teach myself because I couldn't be an intern and say, I don't know how to do this, And this whole process has been self-taught learning. Like, even to say I'm a producer now, you were just saying that you just did your first, like, producer gig. And I'm like, dude, that's official because, like, when I became a producer, there was nobody to tell me that. I kind of, like, woke up one morning and was like, dude, I think you a producer now. Like, because you doing stuff that's, like, producer and, like, okay. And so, and even now, like, I'm still learning. Like, I'm still learning. It's a learning experience. Like, it's just, there is no real official definition for a producer. You can be a creative producer. You can be a clothing producer. You can be any type of producer, really. If you're producing something, then you're a producer.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of how I got to this point. And the more I started working with people, honestly, this company that I'm working for, they changed my life. They did, because I wouldn't have had the networking opportunities, the connections, any of that. Even though it's a predominantly white-owned company and there are not a lot of black people there, it's ironic that I'm even there and that they gave me a chance. But yeah.
Have you taken the time to, outside of this time right now, have you taken the time to look at, like, how certain things led to, like, other things?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm very spiritual.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and I didn't want to get in here and just start, but my spiritual journey started officially, I think. Like, I've always been into astrology, and anybody who knows me, as long as they know me, they'll tell you that. But I didn't actually, like, start going hard until 2020. That's when I started writing down everything, manifesting, tarot readings, wishing on the moon, like, when I really started going hard. And that's when I saw it. Like, that's when, like, I could go back and other people have been here and talked about this. I could go back and read these things that I wanted for myself. And it was even down to, like, word for word, me saying, I want to make this amount of money as my salary. And then 6 months later, I'm getting a call, your salary is now this amount of money. And I'm going back like, yo, that's what I wrote down. Like, or like in anything, I think any connections I make, the people that come into my life, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's how I got here. It wasn't because they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yes, technically it was who I knew, but I didn't know I knew these people or that I had these opportunities here. Like, I just knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I had a purpose to create. That's what I've been doing all my life. And I knew, and once I got into spirituality and really starting to, like, learn about myself and my natal chart and understanding who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing, because the natal chart tells you that. It tells you what your purpose is. It tells you where you need to be focusing your energy and where you're wasting your time. Once I learned that, it was game changer, Yeah.
Yeah, I think from, like, hearing your story, it seems like your mouth wasn't closed. Like they say, a closed mouth don't get fed. And like it seemed like you spoke up for, like, the things that you wanted.
Yeah.
And it just happened.
Yeah, a part of it is believing. You have to believe in yourself. It's hard, man. People you hear it all the time, man. Just believe it. You got to see it to believe it. You got to write it down. And people hear it over and over again.
It's so cliche, but it's true.
But bruh,
it's just so true. Yeah.
You literally just have to see it and to believe it. Like, you just got to envision it.
Yeah.
And the rest is is there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely believing that like so much more now, because like before I believe if I was consistent with something, like it would just kind of like happen. But like as of recently, within like the last couple months, I started to like write things down and really be specific about like the things that I wanted to happen. And like some of the smaller things that I wanted to happen like has happened to a T. Like once I wrote it down, and it's just like it's just so crazy. It's so crazy. And so I also wrote like larger things that like I believe can happen, but if like someone else was to see it, they wouldn't possibly think it would be tangible enough.
That's fine.
And so like I look at it like almost like I read it like almost every night, every morning.
Yes.
And it's just I'm grateful for where I'm at now, but I'm also looking forward to like the future as well.
Yeah. And the idea that you kind of knowing that you kind of have the power. It's
so
in
much,
your hands.
So much.
You don't have to sit around and hope and wait and just hopefully somebody, you can ask for it.
Yeah.
You can ask for it, and then you can continue to believe in it. You can continue to, everything you do needs to be motivated towards that goal. Every little thing. And I always say it doesn't matter what you do, how small of it. A little, if you're working a full-time job and you only got an hour a day to put into this goal, that hour after a week is going to be 7 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like every little bit. And sometimes something you started a year ago, and it could have just been a seed then.
Yeah.
The universe starts moving things in place a year later. You're like, did I meet that person 6 months ago because they were supposed to, it's like, oh, it's coming together. It's coming together. Imagine if society as a whole taught us this way. And when we talk about traditional, non-traditional, conventional, non-conventional, the traditional conventional thing is math, science, English, history, grade school, college.
Yeah.
Imagine if we were taught to follow our dreams, it wouldn't have took me so long.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, yeah.
If I knew, I didn't know. I didn't know to dream. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't understand that if I dream it and, imagine if people knew that. That you have the power.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Do you think your trajectory would have been vastly different if you would have known this, like when you first?
Yes, absolutely. And we talked about this visual narrator, your first episode.
Yeah. There
was so many things that visual narrator was saying that I connected with. She had worked in a bank for 5 years, quit to follow her dreams. I worked at a bank for 5 years and then quit to follow my dreams. And I remember her saying like how quickly it went when she left the job and then she got on the plane and went and then da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I graduated college, fell into a deep depression. I was like, God, imagine, Victoria, if you had just believed in yourself, if you had just had the confidence and there was somebody there to tell you, no, you've got it, you can do it. I remember in high school I started a YouTube channel and it had got up to 2,000 subscribers. That was in high school. Had I known.
That's crazy. You would have been out of here. You'd have been out of here right now. You wouldn't be here right now.
But I didn't know. Once I got to college, I was like, oh, screw YouTube. I got to get focused now. I got to do the traditional, conventional route. Like, it's crazy.
That's crazy. What was it about?
At the time, this is high school, so this is like between 06 and 10.
Obviously, you were a totally different person at that point.
Actually, I was saying I've been this way since high school. Yeah, it was about, at the time, you could respond to people's videos on YouTube.
Oh, really?
You could do responses, like literally like go to their video and say, I want to respond and do a video response. And people could see your video response, go to your page and watch your video.
Okay.
So I would just respond to people's videos depending on what they're talking about. And it would be topics about like LGBT community. People were just on there talking about being lesbians and being gay. And so I would just do responses. And then people started watching my responses. Then I started doing my own videos, making my own topics. I was doing dancing videos before there was a TikTok, We was doing all that back then. And I remember people were even recognizing me when I would go out. And I'm like, really? Wow, yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't understand back then. I was just having fun. There was no pressure. I just made that up in the top of my head. Like, I'm gonna just do some videos. I didn't have no plan. Like,
yeah, I mean that's amazing. I'm learning so much about you as a person and like the type of journey you've had to get into like where you are now. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I would have never imagined you had a YouTube channel. I mean, obviously, I think one time you posted when you was I think the season was starting for the football league.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I posted a video.
Yeah.
It was like a travel vlog or some shit.
I don't. It was a story.
Oh, okay.
You posted something in the story.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I think like this people are gonna definitely know you a lot more now.
Maybe. Yeah.
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 Okay. So like, you definitely 7 years of college.
Man, it's tough.
I mean, do you think about that number too? Like 7 years?
Oh, like does it mean something?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And another thing is like, and no shade on my HBCU. No shade on my HBCU, especially right now. Virginia State's doing big things. The campus itself, no slander.
For sure.
But when I went, we were underfunded. We did not have the resources. We didn't have the staff. My professor was also my advisor. So if they're teaching classes all day, how can they also be
advising? Exactly.
And that was literally the nightmare. To me, it was a nightmare. And I'm looking around at all these other people like, am I missing something? People are getting in and out of here in 4 years. People are, and I'm like, is it the program? Is it me? Am I doing, and who knows? Like, I don't know. But like, no, I've spent so much time being upset and angry, and I was mad at that professor who failed me and was like, she literally told me, I'm not kidding you, Knox, when I went to her and said, I just need you to hang with me for 2 more weeks, she said, you getting that full-time job is a personal problem. We are not a private institution. We don't have to accommodate you in any way. You made that decision to get a full-time job while you were a full-time student, so you figure it out. Literally said, black woman, a black professor. I'm like, and you held me back. And basically, like, this held my life back for a whole year. I had to write a letter of appeal to get back and then start all over again. No, I don't look at that 7 years as a magical number. Look at it as like, God. But let the message stand. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes.
For sure.
Because a lot of people, the statistics say you drop out of school, you don't go back. That was hard in itself to, like, continue to motivate myself, like, and believe that this piece of paper in mass comm, that I was really going to do something. And honestly, did I need that in today's society? I don't necessarily need that mass comm degree to be successful, to make money, to be a creator. I don't need that degree. But in my mind, I thought I did. I thought this is what I have to do. I have to go to school. I have to get a degree. I have to do this. This is how it has to go. Like
Yeah. That's someone else's dream of like how it's supposed to go. It's not for like everybody. It wasn't for your life.
Right. It doesn't work for everybody.
It doesn't work for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew that.
So I read a book about LeBron James last year, and he, like, every opportunity he had, he was able to leverage it to get to like one place to the next. Right. And it seems like your life, in many ways, you kind of like leverage each situation to get higher and higher and higher.
That's what this is, a climb, in a sense.
Yeah. So with your current position now, where do you potentially think your life could be led to, or what do you
I know my purpose in life is to lead, to be a leader of some sort, whether that's a director, producer, within this company, I want to produce my own show. They have the funds to do it. They've got the resources. I would like to be able to do that. Or necessarily, I don't even need them. I could do it myself. I want to be able to be in a position where I can make my own stuff and do my own thing. That's ultimately my goal. I have my own production company now where I produce and do things on the side, and it's great. But it's not as, lucrative, of course. It's like this full-time.
It's not lucrative now.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, ultimately, I just want to be in a position where I can lead, where I can help others. I love helping others and being around other creatives and being inspired and collaborating. And whatever I do, I want to do that. Whenever I can, I want to reach out and help somebody because I know how hard it was for me. And I know that there weren't these people like me. There was nobody I could reach out to and be like, yo, come with me and let's go shoot this. Let's go. There was none of that. You know? So it's just like, I know there's other people out there like me too. Like, just like, somebody throw me a rope. Like,
for sure. Yeah. Nah, I think, since we met each other about like, what, 3 or 4 years, you've been incredibly helpful during like the project that we do with our brew sessions, being my first real producer in a sense.
And it's fun. It's crazy to hear, you know, like, I remember coming in on that project. They threw that to me. That wasn't my project. The person who was on it, she got a way better job opportunity in Texas and was like, and like literally imagine a stack of papers for that project just being left on my desk when I come in. And they're like, it's yours now. You go figure it out. I remember calling her. She was very short on the phone. Like, I was like, the owner of the business, I was like, I don't know how to deal with this, and I don't know anything. Just figure. And she's like, just stay on them. Just stay on them. Keep calling them. And I remember coming to see y'all. Y'all were looking at me like, who is this person that's coming in here trying to run stuff? I'm like, look, this is just, yeah, no, it's different, man. Just hearing it is weird, but I appreciate your kind words.
For sure.
I do.
Nah, I mean, I definitely see you hustling. Like, you definitely, for, you know, someone who didn't, like, necessarily start in the industry and definitely had, like, I don't want to say, like, experience, because obviously you have the experience, but, like, just finding your way and in this position, and, you know, you just going head first in it. And, like, from my perspective, I think you've been doing, like, extraordinarily great.
Thank you.
Extraordinarily great.
Thank you.
So I definitely want to say I appreciate you in that sense.
Thank you. I think you're great.
It's cool. I'm cool. It's fine. You didn't have to say that. But yeah, I definitely I enjoy our talks too. The talks that we have on like Instagram from time to time.
Co-Star tells me to talk to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Remember I said one day it was like meditate with Knox. I was like, well, that might be fun.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty, because like only one person have like told me that. So like a woman that I used to date. And she would be like big on Co-Star, so she would hit me up when Co-Star told her to. I mean, obviously we would talk mostly like all the time, but like when it came up in Co-Star, she would specifically make a point to like reach out. So like that's pretty interesting that you said that. That instantly reminded me of her.
That's funny. Yeah.
You spoke about like in the beginning how, you know, there were creative things that you wanted to do. Well, there were creative things that you were doing, like writing scripts, writing music, and all of that. Like, where did that like spawn from? Because when I was younger, I wasn't thinking about like doing any of that type of things, any of that type of stuff. I didn't even know that stuff existed. Like, what gave you the presence of mind to be doing things such as that at that age? And
maybe that's what set me apart. Number one, I'm an only child. When I was young, my dad died right before I went to high school, but before that, my dad died in a freak accident, and the only reason he didn't survive is because he was an alcoholic and his organs were failing. While I was growing up, my parents were off and on because my father was an alcoholic. He was in the military, U.S. Air Force, and you know how that goes when you leave the military, So, as a child, I had to find my dad's not always around. My mom would work late. She would drop me off at my grandmother's house, and I probably was like 9, 10, I had a laptop. I would be in my grandma's house playing beats on the laptop, writing out lyrics, like recording nothing that you can actually use, but like this is just, I've always been a creative person, always wanting to create music or write, or that's always been who I am. Like if I wasn't doing that, I would buy like stacks of those miniature composition notebooks from the Dollar Tree, and each night I would just make up a story from front to back to fill the notebook, and next night do another one, next night do another one. After that, I'd have like 3-inch binders full of loose leaf paper where I would just write poems, write stories, write short stories, write lyrics, whatever. When my dad saw that I was so creative, he started having his friend had like a mobile studio. He would come and set up the studio at the house, and my dad would be like, I want you to hear yourself. I want you to get better. So his friend would come and record me. I used to pass my little demo out at school, you know. Aaron Brown, who was on Brewer Sessions, me and him went to middle school together. We were rapping then together. We were like, let's get in the talent show and let's do a rap battle. And we were backstage rehearsing our freestyles together before we went out there. And it was won by crowd participation. And if my dad wasn't there, I wouldn't have won. My dad stood up, he's doing the dog whistle, you know, and it's like my dad was really supportive. And my family saw like I was the only child, and so that's my outlet was my creativity. And no matter what I could do, I always wanted to create. And I kept doing music. Even now, I still do music, like, just as a hobby. I don't want to be a rapper, like, and I don't promote that. But, like, that's just a part of who I am. There's times I have a studio at home. There's times where I just wake up and I want to record a song. And I don't care if nobody hears it or not. But that's just an outlet for me. It's just finding those creative outlets is what... It's always been a part of who I am, like...
Yeah. I think you got a ill quotable. You was like, my outlet was my creativity.
Yes.
That's such a powerful thing, because I know, like, for me, that's my form of expression. Mm-hmm. When I didn't have the words, mm-hmm. or when I couldn't find the words, mm-hmm. or when I didn't have the courage enough to speak, mm-hmm. I was able to express myself through my creativity, through yes. like many different ways and many different mediums. Yes. And I think that's why, like, I'm so good at things, because, like, at a younger age, mm-hmm. being by yourself, you don't have anyone to talk to. Mm-hmm. So it's like, mm-hmm. how can I express myself? Mm-hmm. And it was like through creativity, and that was my outlet. And so, like, for you to say that was like a powerful thing.
Yeah, it was. That literally, that's all I did was write. And then when I got to high school, I was, they had a mass comm program in high school, and it was 3 levels. And if you got to the 3rd level senior year, you could be host of the morning show. And when I got to high school, I was really good at public speaking. My mom said I was really good at public speaking. I had did like some like public speaking gigs within like middle school. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. So I took the mass comm program in high school, got to the 3rd level. By the 3rd level, I was hosting the announcements every morning, like the show. And like, that was that, like, all along it was there, and I just fought it for so long because I didn't believe that I could really go somewhere and do something with this. I kept, for some reason, the world made me believe, like, there's no money in this. You got to be famous. You got to be somebody. You got to get discovered. You got to be, like, you know, I was thinking that, and I just... Yeah, I should have stuck with it. I'm still a creative now. I'm falling into it now. I'm stepping into my purpose now, but it's always been here.
Yeah. What does your chart tell you about yourself?
Definitely that I'm a writer. Definitely that I'm a creator. I'm a Leo, so I mean, we are naturally creative. We're naturally children at heart, you know. Love to play, you know, and just. But also, we're natural leaders. Barack Obama,
He's
Tom
Leo?
Brady.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, these people are natural leaders, natural people who, you know, go into success is natural for them. And so I know that. Studying myself, I'm like, okay, so I know I already have these traits about me. Like, these are already a part of who I am. I just have to step into my purpose and believe it. And once I do that, other people start noticing. Like, you telling me that I'm doing it, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but all right, cool. But as I started to step into my career and start to step in my purpose, and I'm starting to accept it, when I started to wake up and say, no, you are a producer. You are a producer. You can say that, even though nobody else is telling you that. My job won't even tell me that. But, like, you know, once I started to step into it, that's when other people start coming to me and be like, yo, I saw what you did over here. Can you, you know, look out on this, or, you know, you want to work on this? Like, just now, like, that's just starting to happen now. I've been in this job, this digital producer job, for 3, almost 4 years now. So, like, just now. And that's because, like I said, I've only been on my spiritual journey 2 years. Mm-hmm. So once I started to accept and, like, understand and, like, see what I look at other people, other Leos, you know, I'm like, how did Barack get here? How did Tom Brady do this? It's like, a lot of times this is like, we all have natural traits. Like, we all have natural gifts, all of us. We all can be creative in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's just knowing what your gift is.
Yeah. How do you affirm yourself nowadays?
How do I affirm myself?
Affirm yourself. Do you give yourself affirmations?
I write a lot because I beat myself up a lot. I'm my own worst enemy. I say that all the time. I don't give myself the pats on back that I deserve. I don't encourage myself like I should. I rely on other people's acknowledgement, other people's recognition to validate myself, but I'm conscious of it. So, like, whenever I'm feeling down or I'm second guessing myself, I just write, like, what I've done thus far, you know, like, just don't forget that, like, you are an Emmy nominated producer. You did, you know, do this. You did do this, you know, and when I go back and look at my journal and see the things that I've done and set out, that helps to remind me, like, no, you have done things. And you said this during, I think, Alex's interview. It's like, you told her, like, no, you have done things. It doesn't seem like you have.
Yeah.
But just go back and look. Like, a lot of times us as creatives, we put our, you know, we get our mind involved in so many different things, or here, there, we want to touch everything and do everything. And you kind of lose track of, like, what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you turn around and be like, look what I've done. You know?
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'm like one of those people I haven't like necessarily like looked at like how much stuff I've done so far.
You should.
I just do. I just do. I just do.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I think like I will, like, when I'm 70, 80, maybe.
Somebody will do it for you. Somebody will come back to you and be like, here's everything you did.
Possibly. I mean, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. But like, I mean, that's real. Like, we should definitely take some time to look at the things that we've done, especially as people who create, but also like create for like other people and give back to other people, and how that affects people. I think I might take some time. Like, I may take some time. I'm not going to say when. I'm going to take some time and like really think about that.
Do you practice gratitude?
Yeah, from time to time. I don't want to say I do it all the time.
Okay.
But like, I do.
Okay.
Like, sometimes it just like hits me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm super grateful to kind of like be in a position where I'm at now, because I remember I've almost been a full-time entrepreneur for like 5 years. But like before this, I was like, man, I want to be in this position. I want to be in this position. I want to be in this position. And to be in this position now, like I'm super grateful. Like, I've said it like every now and then. But I'm just like grateful for just life in particular. Like, I'm super grateful to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super grateful to be able to drive. Like, sometimes I'll be driving, I'm like, man, like, this is such a blessing, bro. Like, this is such a blessing. Like,
sometimes.
I'm super like grateful to be able to fall asleep when I want to fall asleep. Like that's like the small things, like the super small things I really like super aware of, because when you don't have that time, when you don't have like that freedom in a sense to be able to like do these things, then it's like it's vastly different. And so like, I'm just super appreciative of like those small things. And obviously, that's not to say like I'm not grateful for like the big things that happen in my life, but like the small things that have happened, I'm super grateful for them. Like, you just have no idea. For sure. I definitely like, sometimes I have like a manifestation hour, and like how I kind of like try to manifest the things that I want to happen in my life, because honestly, like I said, like 5 years ago, I've almost been an entrepreneur for like almost 5 years. And I remember being like in Brewer's Cafe, like the first one, and I was just like working like in the zone, and then 2:00 would come, and that's when I would have to go to work, and I would be such in the zone that I hate when I'm in the zone and I have to like come out of that as a creative person. And
people don't understand. It is so hard to pull away and then to have to jump back into it. You can't.
I can't.
No.
I can never jump back in. Like after I finish like the work. And I remember like being like in the zone working, and having to leave to go to work.
And that feeling.
I'm like, yo, bro, like, I can't do this. I can't do this because I wanted to like express myself in that moment, and because I wasn't like necessarily like using my words to express myself, this was it. And to be taken away from that, like, it was like a daunting feeling. So like, when I wanted to be in this position, when I said I wanted to be in this position, and eventually happened, like, that just made me like so much more grateful for it. But also, it put things into perspective. Like, it put things into perspective for me to think, if I wanted this and it happened, what else can I, make happen too at the same time? And so like,
game changer.
Exactly. Because I thought like this would happen. I remember the first time I said I wanted to be like a full-time entrepreneur, And at the time, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it. But like 7 years from this, I remember like from the first time I said it until like the time it actually came into fruition was like 7 years. There's like a whole seven. It was. I don't know if like this is a magical number or whatever, but like I just knew like it took 7 years. After I looked back at it, I was like, man, like from the time that I said it to the time that it happened, it was like 7 years. And I was like, man, like I hope the other stuff don't take like 7 years. And obviously like things happen when it's supposed to happen.
Right.
But like if I knew at that time that it was going to take 7 years, I think my perspective of it would have been like vastly different. But since like I just put my head down and just like did the work, you know, the time passes. Like that's why when people tell me they want to start anything in life, they want to do something, and they see like the whole picture, I tell them, I'm like, yo, just put your head down and just like do the work. That's the true. Time will go by. That's like true. Like I'm 30 now. Yeah. You're about to turn 30. Yeah. Well, not about to, but you turn 30. Yeah. What? August? Yeah. In August? Yeah. And so we just know time will go by.
It does go by quickly. Yeah. And then when I think about it, like that's kind of how it was. Like I didn't want to take this $9 an hour job at this local news station working 3 a.m. to 10 a.m., but I did it. I put my head down and I did the work. Like I knew like the bigger picture. Like I could always see the bigger picture of like, man, this is going to get you here and that's going to get you here and don't stop, keep going. Yeah. Like, and synchronicities. I wanted to stress this. Like when you start seeing the same people or the same things happening, or like how I watch Visual Narrator and there was a synchronicity of it, I'm like, yo, those are the green flags of like you're on the right path, you're going the right direction, you're doing. When you start seeing things syncing up and things repeating themselves and events and running into the same people, like that's how you know, like, all right, I'm in the right place, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And that's what I relied on. Like these things would just keep happening. Like wow, like my teacher from middle school is now my professor. What? That's crazy, you know? And it just those things kept happening. I relied on that, like faith, you know? It's hard, but I think because I was an only child and I spent so much time alone. By yourself, when you spend so much time alone, you're here.
It's different, yeah.
You're here and you're just,
Yeah, have a lot of time to think. Yeah. Have a whole lot of time to think.
A lot of time to think about a lot of different things, to see things that other people aren't seeing when you're just, yeah.
Facts. Yeah. So I would like for you to speak affirmations. Right? This is the time that like I give people the space to be able to speak the things that they want for themselves in the future.
Wow. I intend to be a very successful and well-known producer. I intend to produce and direct for television, film. I intend to write for television and film. I intend to inspire others, help others achieve their goals, and help others that look like me reach success. Yeah.
That was powerful. So, also, what would you leave for the person who is on their journey right now, looking for some type of inspiration, and what would you say to them?
I would say, and we talked about this, I think my biggest message is it should not matter what you look like, color, orientation. It should be about what you bring to the table, your skill set, your character, what you can do. So focus on your skill set, focus on perfecting your craft, and no matter what, always, in some way, shape, or form, be working towards perfecting your craft. Do not be afraid to network, to put yourself out there. Always be genuine. Always be yourself, because people will respect that, and people will be able to feel that and notice that. And like I said, just let me be a living testimony that I work at a corporation, I don't even know how to say this, but we talked about this. I'm not somebody you would see in this place. But I told myself that tattoos and being black and being a masculine presenting lesbian aren't going to hold me back. And they didn't, because they're not. For what? What does that have to do with anything? Nothing at all. It has nothing to do with anything. Focus on your craft. Perfect your craft. See it to believe it. Believe in yourself. Affirm these things. Set your intentions. It's not I wanna. It's not what I wish I could. It's I intend to. I affirm. Speak it out loud. Write it down. Write it down. I don't care if you're writing once a month. Just write something down. And let the universe do the rest.
Hey, I love your passion. You've been passionate this whole interview. I love your passion.
Passion is tatted on my chest.
Really?
The word, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You live in it. You're the personification of the word passion.
Man, I tell you, this is gonna be tough for me. I appreciate you, Knox.
Nah, for sure. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time, blessing us with gems, telling us your story.
Yeah.
Super, super grateful, for sure.
I'm grateful as well. Thank you.
For sure. That is Victoria. My name is Antonio Knox, and this was The Gradient Radio.